What's up, everybody? I cannot believe it, but we are closing out 2024. Like, holy crap. Which means I've been doing these live shows, I think now for 2.5 years, Bethany, which is impressive. I'm gonna, give myself a pat on the back for that.
Yeah.
Because when we talk about consistency and showing up, this is just one example of why it matters so much. And I'm so grateful because every time I do, I get to meet somebody like Bethany. I get to meet new people and we get to have really crazy good conversations where you can learn so much in 20 to 30 minutes. So if you're watching or watching live with us, say what's up. Let us know where you're in from. If you're watching the recording, still say hello, say what's up, get those questions. We're going to be looking at the comments and making sure that we address anything that we don't cover in this conversation. But with that, just want to say hello, hello. So good to see you, Bethany. Thank you for being here today. Shout out to Chelsea Cross, who was a past interviewee that recommended Bethany. So shout out to you, Chelsea. We'll make sure we tag her. I would love for you to just tell us a little bit about this journey you've been on from working for somebody else to now working for yourself. Would love to start there so people get a good foundation of who you are.
Sure. And thanks again to you and Rachel, and to Chelsea for having me. I really appreciate it. I guess about, 10 or 12 years ago, I had, been climbing the corporate ladder. I had had sales jobs and was pretty successful at it. And then I met a guy and we became engaged, and he asked me to, just quit my fancy job, and, kind of quit my life and come work for him in his small businesses. And I really was excited about the opportunity to work with him and work together, and really proud of the work that I did with him at his small businesses. And then we split up, and, was kind of devastated and really didn't know, I was like, oh no, I've really like done something, bad here. How am I going to recover from this? And so I started a business, and early on, just similar to what I had been doing before, which was helping small businesses, doing hourly consulting, helping them improve their financial performance. And then in that first year, I was in a networking group, a BNI group, and our business banker in there asked me if I knew how to write a business plan, because she was working on a piece of commercial real estate for one of her clients. And in order for that loan to be an SBA loan, they needed a business plan with it. And they were kind of having trouble, getting this from the client. And so they asked me to help, and I did it, and they really loved it. And meanwhile, like, this was before there was like any like significant software for business planning. And I did it all by hand, like, forward looking projections, like financial projections of profit and loss and balance sheet. And I was like, oh my God, I will never do that again. And I like grossly undercharged as well. But the banker that I did it for, she, asked me to keep going. So I found some ways to make it easier on myself. And that was, I started my company about 10 years ago, and it was just me for about the first 5 years. And then I hired a company to help me scale the business and grow it. And they were really instrumental in helping me overcome like mental challenges that I was having. Like, I just, I didn't understand how I could ever teach someone to do what I had learned how to do, or what I had figured out. And they quickly showed me that, I could do so much more work if I like was able to delegate the rest of this work. And so part of that was a lot of like mindset shifting, using different ways to shift my mindset with like hypnotism or neurolinguistic programming, things of that nature, to really kind of like change the messaging inside, so that I was ready for like this new level of, whatever, new level of sales, or new level of abundance, or, whatever was the next thing I needed to, overcome, or whatever. And really grateful for that company for helping me scale and grow the business, because, immediately after I was introduced to them, I hired my first person. She's still with me now. This was like 5 or 6 years ago. And now we have close to 50 people on staff, and really, proud of the people that get to work with us, because I don't know if this sounds like boring to you. We do business plans and feasibility studies at my company, rapid business plans. But the people that work with us are really talented, and we feel really lucky to get to work with them. And just a really talented group of people that now are doing the production of our reports that we're doing for our small business clients.
Awesome. Well, we all have a journey, right? Especially when you're deciding to go out on your own. There's usually some moment where you're like, well, shoot, should I do this or should I not? So I want to talk about that in a second. I'm really curious to hear more about your business, though. Certainly, we're a small business. I've worked with many small businesses, and we're this has been a wild year. And let's be honest, it's not going to slow down in the wildness. In terms of the economy, politics, all the things. We're just in a weird, energetic time, right, Bethany? And the economy has been tough, and I think it's been hard on small businesses. And so I'm really curious to hear exactly what your process is when it comes to creating a business plan. What is maybe the framework that you use?
Sure. And I would recommend this program to anyone. We use liveplan.com. That's a software that produces business plans with a really robust set of financial projections. We've been using that since the beginning. It's the program that I found initially to really make it easy to do the business plans that we do. And so we slice and we dice the work. We have a team that's working on financial projections. We have a team that's working on research like demographics and competition sections that we want to see in our business plans. And then we have like our MBA level people that are doing the written narrative of our business plans. Then those people their work is supervised by our quality control people, which are MBA or CPA level people that are giving feedback on their work. They're the ones that are responsible for putting out the finished product to the client, which is delivered by our project manager. And all this happens in 4 business days, actually. So we have a really quick turnaround time with our process. And we just really have, the systems and processes and technology in place that make it, everything go boom, boom, boom. And it's just been so long since we've missed a deadline. And I'm, really proud of that too.
So what I'm hearing you say, and I mean, I am an MBA, and so this is already resonating with me because I had to do this, in school. So there's some pieces of building a great business plan, which you just mentioned, some of the competitive information, demographics, the financial outlook, the narrative. I'm really curious about as well. Are you working? How do y'all build that for the business? Are you working with the business owners? How is that story being developed? Ultimately, you're doing this to get money, right?
Yes, for
To
sure.
get funding. How much money are people usually looking for, businesses?
So SBA loans are anywhere from 350,000 to 5 million. In some cases, it can be a larger amount than that, but really most of your SBA loans are going to be between those two parameters. And we learn about this story from our clients. We have with my husband. Actually, my husband works with me now. Not the guy that I was engaged to before, but totally new guy. We've been together now for like 6 years, and he's been a part of the company for about 4 years. But he'll have a discovery call with the potential client and get background on the project. And then we have a questionnaire that we send to the prospective client that we have them fill out. And that really, fills in all the blanks that we need, for that information that we need for the narrative.
So kind of a deep dive
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
And are the businesses that you working with, are there a certain kind or certain revenue, employee size, industry?
It really, we're really industry agnostic. We're just working with people that are getting either an SBA or a USDA loan. So Small Business Administration or US Department of Agriculture does some larger lending in agricultural or rural areas. And, we just, as long as people are getting those loans, that's a deal that we want to be working on. In order to get these loans, there are qualifications, and part of that is the business plan. And we help tell that story to the bank.
Got it. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm just really curious. Do you know what what's the percentage of people that if they apply to get some sort of SBA loan, let's say, how many, is it easy to get? I mean,
Well, okay, so it's easier to get an SBA loan than to get a conventional loan from a bank. So the SBA says to banks, "Hey, will you loan out this money, on these risky deals to small businesses?" Because ordinarily it's not a risk that a bank would take. And so the SBA says to banks, "Hey, if you give out these loans, we'll guarantee 75% of the amount of the loan in the event of a default." And so the banks are like, "Okay, we can work with this. We'll get a little bit of collateral. We'll get a down payment, and sometimes that down payment is between 10 and 20%." And then, not everyone that, applies for a loan will get a loan. That's a fact. And so the SBA keeps statistics on this. I don't know precisely what, but I do know that, women are very underrepresented in getting SBA loans as far as, the ratio of women business owners versus the ratio that are successfully able to get an SBA loan. But the SBA does keep statistics on, who's applying and who's getting loans and who's getting declined from them. And it's surprising, but there are things that reasons why an SBA loan would automatically be declined, and it's things like have you been arrested in the last 6 months? Have you had felonies in the last 7 years? Have you had a bankruptcy in the last 10 years? Have you defaulted on a government loan before, like a student loan or an FHA loan or another SBA loan or something like that? And so those are reasons for like automatic declines. But then for other reasons, the bank may decline it if, for personal credit or something like that, or business credit if it's an existing business. But also if there's like maybe a tax lien or something like that, or if the bank just, if you're trying to get a loan for a hotel and this bank already has so many hotel loans out existing, then they may not be too keen on your hotel loan. So it really is helpful to get a specialist that really, understands. So you wouldn't like, as a small business owner, just walk into like Bank of America and ask them for an SBA loan,
Yeah.
because they really only like nice deals. They like to work with like doctors and stuff like that. I mean, I don't want, listen, Bank of America does a wide variety of loans, but really their SBA stuff is like really nice, nice deals. So there are other banks like, one of the top lenders in the country, Huntington Bank or Live Oak Bank, and they really are specialists in the SBA field. And these kind of lenders will be able to tell you like right away, like, hey, this is a deal I want, or this is a deal that we would not be able to work on, but call so and so, or by the way, this is impossible, you can't get it done SBA. So really
Mm.
having that SBA specialist lender is, how to get it done really.
And you can find that usually just literally searching
Sure.
or
So you can Google top SBA lenders, and then you can actually like, find specific lenders at the bank's website. They'll have like a list of like their, SBA lenders. But then a lot of these lenders, some of the top lenders in the country are doing a lot of personal branding. So you can find they'll be doing podcasts like, the Art of SBA Lending podcast is one of them, or, there's also a top acquisition lender. So sometimes people will be getting their SBA loan to buy a business or to start a
yeah.
business or to buy
Mhm.
property. But there's a top acquisition lender in the country that has a podcast as well. So you can, kind of, find these people with their YouTube channel and on LinkedIn and stuff like that.
Yeah. Super helpful. I mean, I think especially as we kind of wrap up the year and think about 2025, this is a really important area. If you're listening right now and you're thinking about maybe you want to leave your job, maybe you have a side hustle, maybe you're already you have your company and you have like a big idea, right? And you don't know how you're going to fund it. Seems like we could reach out to you even and start getting some baseline information, but certainly talk to one of these SBA lenders and then you can help us put something like that together.
For sure. And then also, I do want to give a plug for what are called small balance loans. And these are like, listen, I'm telling you, if I took out a loan for $250,000 tomorrow, I would need like, Tums or something, right? But like the banks consider these small balance. And so, if you're looking for a loan to start a business or buy a business or whatever, that's like 150,000 or 250,000 up to 350,000, sometimes 500,000. There are small balance loans that you would go to like a different sort of lender, an SBA lender for sure, but they just kind of like do different things. And so I think that's kind of the benefit that my husband and I have in the marketplace is that we work with all of these lenders and we kind of know what each one does and what the specialty is. Like some are going to specialize in acquisitions, some are going to be small balance, some do gas stations, and some are industry agnostic and just can get a lot of deals done. So it just kind of depends what
Yeah,
the
yeah. Do you
situation.
find that, like, professional service-based organizations, or do you work with a lot of those, or it's a lot more of brick and
For
mortar?
sure, we do, and, we've seen them get funded plenty as well too, for sure.
That's great because I know a lot of my audience is professional services in some way. Um, so then, okay, so this is awesome, super helpful, right? We all know that there's ginormous need for this in the market, but
Yes.
Bethany, you didn't really even know it, right? Like you were doing your thing and like popped into this opportunity. How did you know? that, hey, I'm going to keep pursuing this, right? Like, what, tell me a little bit about that experience.
Well, when I realized exactly how hard it is to do this, right?
Mm,
So we have a lot of people on staff that are really bright people. We have a lot of college interns that, got like 1500 on the SAT, really bright people that really proud of the work that they're doing, and our MBA and CPA level staff members. But really, I would say that we probably have 5 to 6 people on staff that could write a business plan from start to finish that I would put in front of a client. And that's nothing against my staff at all, everybody's wonderful, but it turns out that, like, to be able to have this skill of like writing the narrative and doing the research and doing the financial projections, it's very difficult to have all that bundled into one person. And when I realized like how niche of an effort that is, I was like, oh, I've got to keep doing this. The other thing too is that I learned that SBA lending will increase. Government lending and government spending will increase during a recession, even though conventional lenders may, like, close up and, not be lending as much. SBA lending will increase. And that means during a recession, my business also will do well. And so that was one of the key indicators for me that I was like, I've got to stick with this and figure it out.
ooh, okay. So a couple things that I want to point out here. So you're saying the niches, right? And so I talk about this a lot too with the audience who we're going after, that like it needs to be a bullseye. And one of the most common mistakes, Bethany, is that people try to go after everybody.
Yeah.
That's like the world's worst response. Like, who's your audience? Be like, I want everyone. It's like, no, 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 no. And I love that you're going super bullseye, really, really targeted. The other thing that I just heard you say was a bit of a market analysis,
Hmm.
right?
Yes, for sure.
Like some of us are wondering, is there product market fit? That's one of, right, the big questions that you're going to hear at tech companies when, like, is there a product market fit for this? And you were able to have this sort of test case and see like, whoa, there's not only a big fit, like I can be a little bit future proofed.
And Rachel, let me tell you too, it's even more than that. So my top competitors, my top competition when I started this, were free services from like the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, or SCORE at like your local universities. And so I had a lot of, my referral partners ask me early on, like, well, how can you compete with free? And we do it in 4 business days. And we provide service throughout the duration of underwriting. So we'll make changes, to the plan throughout, until the client gets their loan. And so we just found, listen, we work all over the country, and some of these, help centers at the universities are, better than others. And in fact, in my area, they're amazing. They just like have a waiting list. And so, we have found that, by performing our services quickly and being Johnny on the spot, and like, understanding really that whole process and what it takes to get it done, we really have found that we've kind of, been able to emerge as a leader in our industry.
I love that example. I mean, free is not always better. To me, free means great. There's competition. This is not you're not breaking through something groundbreaking in the market. Great. But the people that want free are probably not the people you want to work with,
Right.
right? Like, just in case you're wondering, a couple lessons on marketing, y'all. Free is not always better.
Well, and with what we do too, a lot of lenders are able to work it into the deal for the client. So, just
That's great.
finance is part of it. And so,
So you're very B2B.
yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. That's, which is also another interesting thing in terms of like defining where you want to go in the market. And I think a lot of people in their entrepreneurial journey will think a lot about like product goods, right? Or that they need to like go straight to the consumer. Hey, I want to help, I want to help small businesses. Therefore, I need to go work with that small business. And you're saying, well, I'm still helping small businesses, but I'm, going through the partner way. Um, which is highly, by the way, highly valued, highly profitable.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes. My being in tech and I worked in the partner ecosystem. I mean, I learned just a lot about this. And I think there's a lot, except for people that are doing it. It seems like, what are you doing?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of conversations like that, like, "Oh, what are you doing?" Yeah, yeah. Even
Yeah,
people in our industry are still kind of confused about, what we do, but
totally.
that's okay because, like, the people, our referral partners know what we do. So,
Yeah. Um, so the other thing, this is just super insightful, and I think the timing is really powerful for this because this is the time of thinking about business plan. This is the time to think about where do you want to go, how do you want to do it. And you're showcasing an example of how that gets done. The mindset piece is the hardest part, though, right? And so, talk to me a little bit about your journey in doing this. Maybe you have an example of like a moment where you're, I mean, you know, just how have you navigated through the emotions of keeping a business going?
well, I will say the emotional state that I experienced, like, early on, this has been a 10-year journey for me, but, like, listen, the first couple of winters I lived on credit cards and I was like crying my eyes out. Okay. Like this, it was like I was not used to like the ebb and flow. I had been accustomed to getting a paycheck, and it took a couple of years to also pay off those credit cards that I lived on, those couple of winters as well. But then, again, I went into this mindset first coaching program, to help small business owners, typically women, grow their businesses, and in kind of like a heart-centered way, which really wasn't kind of my style. But like, leading with like myself and being like my authentic self is like, one of the key tenets that I learned was, so important to my success. But I think, initially I just couldn't wrap my brain around having other people do this work. I was like, I'm the only one, I'm the only one that can do it like I do it. And then, just started to, initially listen to a couple of different, abundance hypnotisms on YouTube. This guy, Michael Steely, I want to give a plug. He probably has some 10 or 12-year-old hypnotisms on there now that like I still, occasionally will listen to, with headphones and eyes closed and like a true like meditation or whatever. It's like a guided meditation or self hypnosis. And those were some of my initial like forays into like, getting over whatever, I keep pointing to like, you can't see, I'm pointing to like,
Yeah.
my middle, but like,
Well,
those gut level messages, or things that like we were saying earlier about deprogramming, that was really essential for me to get to like the next level. And so, even now in our business we have an opportunity to open a different product line, and so we a couple years ago did this, added a different product line. We started doing feasibility studies and we saw a 65% jump in revenue the first full year that we were doing those. Now we have an opportunity to add something else in a partnership with a bank, and this is just another level for us to grow. And, initially when this bank approached me about it, I was like, we can't do it, find someone else here, call this person. And then they kept on working on me, and I was like, wait a minute, we can do this. There's like, we've literally been able to do everything that has been presented to us, because listen, we are industry agnostic with what we do with the reports that we write. But sometimes, we did a biochar USDA feasibility study for the first time. You have your first time with biochar or whatever it is, and you have your first time with like an indoor pickleball club. You just have
yeah.
the first time with these things before you really learn to do them. And, or, you kind of, because we have the experience of writing the plans and what goes in them, we just have to learn the new industry. And so, just, knowing that like, hey, listen, we have not been stumped yet. Have a great team behind me. I have an integrator that really makes sure that everything, that I don't have to worry about this stuff, right? I don't have to worry about production. I don't have to worry about implementing processes. I can just worry about growing the business, which has, really been my main focus for the last several years. And so really, to me, to like look back 10 years, I would not, 10 years ago, my 35-year-old self would not even conceive of where we are now.
I mean, there's a lot of lessons I think that you're talking about here. So certainly there's you got to work on yourself.
For sure.
We all, need to, personal branding, all this. It's very much still an inside job.
Yes.
The other piece that I'm hearing you say it is team.
Yes, absolutely.
And I've learned a lot about that as well and continue to learn, especially as a high overachieving lady boss. It's a weight on my shoulder. I could do it all, right? And that's literally not a feasibility when you have a purpose, when you have a mission, you're trying to grow a business.
Right.
Um, it just isn't, right? And so you're saying team and an integrator. I think that one's a really tell me a little bit more about when you hired your integrator and what does he or she or they handle?
Sure. And so we had hired a fractional integrator, a woman named Susan Fenema from Beyond the Chaos. And so she has a company where they do fractional integrator work and fractional project manager work. And I just literally Googled fractional integrator or fractional project manager. I can't remember which. And she came up. I don't know. I didn't intentionally choose her because her company like just seems to employ all women. It just kind of happened that way. But she has a very talented group of very organized people, and so part of that too is understanding like who fits into what seat. And so I just knew that like Susan and her team, being like their project management and integrator minds, would be a great fit to help me organize all of our production and like use a new project management tool and, really get organized. Like we're using Slack and stuff like that to communicate. But, really getting that integrator into the role to get me out of production and have all of that, have all of them be responsible for that. And then, I can be over here doing the marketing, like I said, which, has been really like useful. But the other thing too is with the team, we do a lot of assessments. So we make sure to give people a strengths finder assessment and a Colby assessment, and sometimes a Myers-Briggs, which is my specialty. But really the results of these questionnaires, these assessments is, really tells us, is this person going to be a good fit here in this role? And so a Colby questionnaire will give you a 4-digit result. And so for say like a project management role, you're going to be looking for someone with those, at least those first 3 numbers are going to be kind of middle of the road numbers, somewhere between like 4 and 6 for all 3 numbers. And really when we got a project manager that fit into that, her results were that, we like, really were like executing like, like lightning fast. It's been amazing.
Mhm. I mean, yeah, that's something that I continue to I think that we, even as a company, get to do more of that. I don't know if it's personality tests so much. It's personality, but it's also capability, right? And that's a really good piece of advice, especially for small businesses, because we think, well, my business is small. Like I don't, necessarily, need to do that. We're a small team, but actually there's a lot of value to that. And the other piece that I want to highlight that you're talking about is you have to take yourself out of working in the business and work on the business as an entrepreneur and a business owner to get to the next level. And that's something I've been learning a lot about as well, because when you're in it, you can't see anything.
Yeah, you can't grow it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that's another just really wise and helpful tidbit of information. So as we close out this interview, Bethany, I would love for you to just say maybe one piece of advice that you think was, the most helpful for you this year, or can be the most helpful for somebody going into 2025.
Sure. I think probably the best advice I've gotten in the last year is just to, hold on tight and like stay true to your marketing. And so we actually increased our marketing quite a bit this year. And so we haven't had the backslide that, a lot of my, small business peers have experienced. And so, doubling down and really investing in our marketing and getting an SBA loan to do that was really instrumental in our growth this year. So the year before we had like 65% growth. This year we're already at like 34% growth for the year. So even without adding in any new services. So pretty
Wow.
happy with that.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's such a good piece of advice. Oh my God. I mean, obviously, I am a brand marketer and I love all of this. And it is always the thing that people cut the first. The first thing that people cut is marketing when things tighten. Which sometimes I get it, you got to do. But to your point, if you're trying to continue to bring in business, how are you going to do that?
Right.
Marketing the way. So I think that's such another wise move on your end, Bethany. So with that, where can people get in contact with you? Obviously, LinkedIn. If you're watching, please make sure you connect with her. What other information?
Also, if you want to learn more about our services and what we do, just shoot me an email at bethany@rapidbusinessplans.com. We also have a contact form on our website, rapidbusinessplans.com, where you can set up a discovery call with my husband as well.
Oh, amazing. So
Yeah.
easy
Yeah.
peasy. And with that, just thank you so much for hanging out with me. For all of you, I hope you have such a beautiful rest of the year. Stay healthy, stay safe. Try to spread some peace and joy. We need a lot of that right now. And you know what? I'll